Hey, hey, come. Hey. Turn up. Oh, let me make sure my camera focus on me. Welcome to Fancy Cents, my personal finance and lifestyle channel. I started to make help everyday people make it make sense. Today we're going to be talking about my top 10 money lessons I learned in my 20s. I just had a birthday and I am officially a part of the Dirty 30 gang. Ay. But anyway, make sure you hit that subscribe button to be a part of the Fancy Cents family. Make sure you hit that like button if you're liking the content, and make sure you hit the bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload new content. So let's get right into it. Oh, and one last thing. Make sure you stay tuned until the end because I have a very bonus lesson. It's really 11 lessons, not 10. Don't you just love me? Okay, so the first thing I learned in my 20s is that debt is the devil, okay? It's the devil, okay? And let's talk about why debt is the devil. Having a debt, especially if you have a lot of debt, can result in you paying more money over time, which can result in you paying more interest. So just take a look at one of your credit card statements. If you have a credit card statement, if you have a credit card or not. If you look at paying the minimum balance versus paying the card off or paying a little bit more than the minimum balance, normally they'll break that down and they'll tell you how much more it costs over time if you decide to only pay the minimum. And that's very important if you're having a lot of money. If you have a lot of debt in a lot of different places, that interest causes you to pay more money for your debt. So it costs you more money. The other thing is that it affects your credit. If you have a lot of debt and as a result of a lot of debt, you're not able to make your payments on time, you're missing payments, it can cause your credit score to go down. And if you have a lower credit score, that can result in you not qualifying for the best loans, the best interest rates on loans, and a lot of other things. It goes back to my first point, how it costs you more money. And last but certainly not least, debt can affect your quality of life. By that I mean debt can be stressful. And long-term stress can lead to mild to serious health issues, and we don't want that. We have enough things in our life like stresses, like, you know, not having no edges and things like that. We don't need debt to add to that, okay? So debt is the devil, get rid of it. The second thing that I learned was, and you need to invest early. Investing early is key, okay? So let's give an example. Let's say I was 35 and I decided to start investing, and I had about $5,000, and I decided to pay $100 a month up until the point where I retire. And right now the retirement age is 67. At the age of 67, I would have about $185,000 saved up in a retirement account if my account had about a 70% annual rate of return. So let's look at this if I would have started 10 years earlier. Let's say I was 25 and I started with that same $5,000 and I invested that same $100 a month. By the time I'm at the retirement age of 67, getting the same rate of return of about 7%, I would have about $381,000. That's about a $200,000 difference. That is major. So starting early is key. I really want to emphasize this point because a lot of us millennials and, you know, the generation, and even some other ones is a little bit up there ahead of us, will not have the luxury of having pensions and, you know, retirement and Social Security, because we are seeing that the financial dynamics are changing. So it's important that we invest in ourselves so we can enjoy our qualities of life as we get older. The third thing I learned is insurance is important. And I'm not just talking about car insurance. I'm talking about things like health insurance and life insurance. Car insurance is important because guess what? It's illegal in most states if you don't have, I think in all states. I didn't look it up, but I'm going to assume that it's illegal in all states if you don't have car insurance. I'm judging you, okay? Because if you hit me, that's not even here nor there. Let's talk about, it's important to have insurance, car insurance especially, but not just car insurance. Health insurance is important. I know so many people who have a financial burden because they have very high healthcare bills, and sometimes that's hard to avoid. But if you can get insurance, get it, because in the end, it's going to help you out financially in the long run when you're not paying very expensive medical bills. And let's talk about another thing, life insurance. Okay, I don't know what it is about our community, but I still see GoFundMe's for people, you know, leaving here. I'm just going to use myself as an example. I am 30, I have no kids, and I have had life insurance since I've been about 22. Now, I'm in the Army, so that has contributed to it, but at any point in that time, I couldn't gotten rid of life insurance. And I'm gonna tell you why. I don't necessarily need a lot of life insurance, but if something happens to me, my family at least need to be able to put me in the grave without going on Facebook saying go for me. And life insurance can be very affordable if you just do your research and find it. And if you have a family, listen, it's key that you have that life insurance to compensate you for the income your family is going to lose in the event that you're not here. You need insurances: life insurance, health insurance, car insurance, renter's insurance, you name it, you need it. That's something that I learned in my 20s, and I really want to drive home that point, okay? Very, very important. All right, the fourth thing I learned is read your contracts. Matter of fact, don't just read your contracts. Read and understand your contracts. When I was 17, I signed a contract with the Army, and the Army told me, we're going to give you a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, great. But let's talk about this student loan repayment that I feel like I got gypped on, okay? So I had a $20,000 student loan repayment. Now you might be like, oh, that's a lot of money. But in the fine print, this $20,000 was not $20,000. You know how much it was? It was about $12,000, maybe $12 to $15, you know, depending on the year. The contract said that they would only pay $3,000 a year, and it will be considered taxable income. So I can make sure everybody truly understands this. Let me rephrase that: $3,000 or 15%, whichever was more. Okay, so 15%. Let's say I had a $2,000 loan. Let's say I had that or something like that. They would not pay that $2,000. They would only pay 15% of that $2,000. I didn't know that when I took out all them student loans in college. So needless to say, had I read my contract and understood, I probably would have never took that out. And that's really a key point for not just people in their 20s, but parents who have kids who are in college, who are getting loans and grants. Read through these things, because you'll help your kids better understand it, because they could avoid a lot of the debt that I have. Now let me give you another example. I also had a credit card, a cell phone, with a company that we're not going to rename. I don't know. I don't want to get any copyright infringements or anything like that, because I'm just starting on the YouTube. I'm learning, y'all. But let's talk about this. I left a cell phone company, and I called the company and I said, okay, can I just buy out my contract? And they said, yeah, just buy out of it. But then I got a bill from them for $500. What? I had to pay the remainder balance of my phone. Now this was during the times where you was paying like $200 to get a new phone. So I was like, wait, how I gotta pay this? I called y'all and y'all told me I only had to buy out of my contract, not pay this. Come to find out, in my contract it said that if I left the company, I was not only going to have to pay the remainder of buyout of the contract, I was going to have to pay the remainder balance on my phone. Now, this was another lesson. Now, this is not even in here, but I'm going to throw this in here as a bonus as well. Had I took that representative who talked to me name down and recorded everything that was said, I probably would have had more of a negotiating power, because I would have said, wait a minute, let me talk to Mary or whoever she was, because she told me that I did not have to pay this. So we have to hear the receipts. I probably could have gotten out of it, or at least didn't have to pay the whole $500. But I took that L and a whole lot more. But those are stories for another days. Alright, the fifth thing I learned was that student loans are not like bills. When I was 20, my professor told me, he said, student loans are like light bills. I'm going to pay them for the rest of my life. Now, he was like 60 something, so that was probably true for him. But for a 20-year-old, don't tell your 20-year-olds that. You don't have to pay student loans for the rest of your life. Had I not had a deliverance in my 20s, I probably wouldn't even be here telling you all this, but I want to share it with y'all. They're not like light bills. Choose your student loans wisely, okay? And that brings me to my sixth point. College is life-changing, but it's not necessary, okay? I learned so many good things in college. I met lifelong friends. But I personally do not think college is necessary to survive. But I also don't think college is a scam. I just don't. I think it just depends on how you utilize college to grow your life, okay? So let me say that. And more importantly, figuring out ways to pay for college that is free, it's affordable. Going to your local college, having a plan to pay back the student loans. And that means choosing a degree that is going to pay you some money. I was listening to this podcast. It's called Journey to Lunch, and it's episode 105 if anybody want to check it out. And she had a couple on there, and the couple said use your degree to pay for your passions. And I thought that was very powerful, because we live in a generation now where they say follow your passion, be a whatever, a Instagram, a YouTuber. Those things are great, but having something to fall back on is more important. And then while you're trying to build that, having something that can finance that is super important. So please try to pick a degree that's going to pay you some money out of college. And if it's not necessarily something you love, use that to finance the life that you want, because sacrifices have to be made sometimes for some of us who just don't grow up privileged. Well, we don't grow up with a privilege in comparison to other people. So to the 7th point, which is good credit is important, and I have 2 rules. If you can't pay cash for it, don't buy it. Now, obviously there's exceptions for those things, you know, houses, cars, you know, even your education sometimes you can't pay cash for. But the general rule of thumb is try not to buy things that you can't pay cash for, or that you don't have a plan to pay it off very quickly. I try to stay more on the latter. The second rule is put it on your credit card. Now, this might not work for some people who don't have the discipline, but we have to learn discipline as we get older. Now, learn this in your 20s, so when you're in your 30s, you can build. Everything needs to go on your credit card, because if you put it on your credit card and you pay your balance in full every month, guess what that does? That shows a credit history and allows you to build your credit and all of those great things. So, good credit is important because it goes back to everything we talked about in the first point. More videos on credit to come. Just be on the lookout. Okay. The 8th thing I learned is paying your bills early is paying your bills on time. Okay, listen. Paying your bills early is paying your bills on time. It goes back to good credit. When you're paying your bills early, that results in you having good credit history. Okay, and it also builds a rapport with the company. I'm going to give you an example. Okay, picture this: Christmas. I want to say it was this year. I don't know, but for some odd reason, my bank decided not to send my rent check to my rental company. And they came and gave me a notice and said, "You're late." And I'm like, "I'm never late. I'm early." What? So I went down and I talked to them. I said, "Well, I think what happened was it's the holidays. Checks got mixed up. The bank said they sent it. It hasn't been cat. What's going on?" That was like, okay. So I said, "Well, listen." I said, "I was paying a bill on time." I said, "Is there any way that I can avoid this fee? I can give you the money right now." And they was like, "You know what? You pay your bill early. We never had this issue with you. No problem. Your fee is waived." It gives you more negotiating power when you pay your bills early. Paying your bills early is on time. I'm not going to be on that anymore. The 9th thing I learned is like the whole reason why I started this channel. Oh, this is just a big thing. Setting money intentions. Being intentional with your money. And these last 3 points are really more, not necessarily, they're about money topics, but they're very important. I really want to hit on these things. Money intentions is important because it allows you to tell your money what to do and not let your money tell you what to do. Sometimes you have to be able to say, I'm going to limit myself on the things that I spend, and I'm going to control where my money goes. So that way at the end of the month, you're not looking like, where did my money go? When I get to the end of the month now, I'm not like, wow, I spent $500 on food. Because I'm monitoring it. I understand that I set myself, I'm being intentional. Like, okay, this week, I'm going to spend this much money on food, and I'm going to spend the same amount next week. If I spend too much this week, then I got to back off next week. And that goes with everything. Being intentional about your money makes you feel better about life overall, and allows you to control how your finances go and your financial outlook. And learning that in my 20s was very important. And it drives me to my 10th point: learn from other people's mistakes. Okay, I have tons of stories and I plan on sharing a whole lot of them. Okay, because I think most of the things that I did avoid and some things I didn't avoid is because I really paid attention and I researched and I asked other people. And we live in a society today where people are more forthcoming about telling you what they did and how they learn from financial setbacks and financial mistakes. And that's with everything in life, not just financial, but finances is big, especially for me, because I feel like in my community we don't talk about it enough and we don't share our lessons learned because we fear of being judged. And that's okay. People will judge you, okay? People always judge me when I had this wig on. I still walk around without it. I'm just gonna point that out. Go back a few videos. I'm just saying. So learning from other people's mistakes is key, and understanding that it's okay to make mistakes. But if you can avoid them, then why not? Why not avoid mistakes, okay? And now that we've went through the top 10, let's go to the most important one. And that's the power of no, okay? No is important. I want you to go, I did a whole blog post on this. It's on fancysense.com. The link is down in the bio, okay? It's down in the bio. So make sure you go check it out and read it. But to just give you a synopsis of what I talk about on the post is just the ability to say no to myself when I want to do financial things. I just had to do that last week. I wanted a Gucci belt. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I thought about so many other things I could do with that money. And one day I might get one. But it's about saying no. And not telling yourself no all the time. It's about being able to say no to yourself, no to your friends, no to your family, no to everybody. Because sometimes you have to say no just to be able to maintain your mental health and to be able to maintain your financial outlook. Because never give someone something that you can't afford to lose, and be okay. And learning to be okay with other people's reactions to your no takes time. But that's why I learned it in my 20s, because in my 30s I can deal with it a whole lot better. So this was Fancy Sense, and we went over the top 10 lessons, money lessons I learned in my 20s. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you smash that like button because I need all of those likes. And I hope you enjoyed. Comment below if you have any lessons that you learned in your 20s, or if you're in your 20s and I just gave you a tidbit that could help. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you next time on Fancy Sense, where we make it make sense. Oh, I got them itches here.